Hi, my name is Leia. Welcome to my channel. This is July Diaries Part 2. Essentially, my July is super busy. I have some sort of event or celebration every single weekend, so I'm kind of just vlogging my way through it. This upcoming weekend, I'm going to Charleston for my friend's bachelorette trip. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mellors. I kind of touch on this on my other video, but it is about a woman named Cleo who moves from London, I believe, to New York. She is 24 and meets Frank, who is 20 years older than her, and they end up getting married after 6 months of dating. And the book is essentially about their relationship, but we also get perspectives from a lot of other people within their lives. I absolutely love the book. I think I really liked her writing style. The characters are definitely flawed and they make some pretty questionable decisions, but I feel like for the most part, I was still kind of rooting for them and wanting them to be better. Probably everyone except Frank, to be honest. There is a specific part in the book involving a toilet, and that's all I'll say, and I could just never really get past that with him, unfortunately. I just thought the book was so entertaining. Like, I was so invested in every single perspective. I feel like I really flew through it. Once you finish the book, it's pretty open-ended. Like, you get some closure, but it's not wrapped up in this pretty little bow, which I didn't mind. Once I was finished, I also read some of the Goodreads reviews, and this is a pretty polarizing book, it seems like people either love it or hate it. A lot of the 1-star reviews called the characters shallow and privileged and pretentious, and they felt like they were pretty insufferable. I actually kind of understand where they're coming from, because the characters, as I mentioned before, they're definitely flawed and they make poor decisions. And I think a lot of the conflict in the book stems from internal turmoil or just bad decisions that they're making and then in turn kind of have to deal with the consequences of. So I definitely understand why they don't like the main characters, but I also felt like they were complex and three-dimensional, and they felt like real people to me, even if they are privileged and maybe a little pretentious as well. Another interesting thing about the book is it is written in third person, except when we get this one character's perspective named Eleanor. Her chapters are written in first person, and Eleanor is the only character in the book I think that I completely like. I just found that kind of cool, that when we're getting a perspective that's maybe less objective, we have a tendency to maybe like those characters a little bit more. I also loved Eleanor as a character. I think her chapters were definitely my favorites throughout the book, but I rated Cleopatra and Frankenstein 4.25 stars. Sometimes I don't really know why I make the decision to do the quarter rating, but I can. It's an option for me on Fable, so why not? But anyway, this week I needed to figure out what to pack for Charleston. Most specifically, I need to figure out what books to download on my Kindle. Right now, I have Outlawed by Anna North, but I also might download another book or two just so I have options. Realistically, I don't think I'm going to do a lot of reading during this trip, but at the very least, I could read on the airplane there. So anyway, I'll check back in with you later.
Well, you get down to fiddle and you get down to bowl. Kick off your shoes and you throw 'em on the floor. Dance in the kitchen till the morning.
How do you feel?
30.
You just turned 30.
Okay, hi. I'm back home. I didn't really get a whole lot of footage from my 30th birthday because I was just living in the moment, trying to have as much fun as possible. I didn't really get a chance to read a whole lot either weekend. I tried reading Outlawed by Anna North, but I just couldn't really get into it. So then I ended up picking up More Than This by Patrick Ness. And that book is about an 18-year-old named Seth. And in the very beginning of the book, he drowns in an ocean and dies. And he essentially wakes up outside of his old childhood home in this post-apocalyptic world almost. You can tell that no one has lived here in many years and everything is pretty abandoned. And essentially the entire book is just him trying to figure out where exactly he is and why he's there. He thinks he's in some sort of purgatory or hell maybe. He doesn't know if his physical body is at this place or if it's just his subconscious helping transition him post-death into the afterlife. So it's a really interesting premise, but it took me a very long time to get into the book. The first, I would say at least 100 pages is Seth just wandering around this world and trying to survive. Because even though he died, his body still requires the same nutrients that a living body would. He just felt like the book wasn't really going anywhere in the beginning. We're just watching him walk through this world and kind of try to figure things out, but not much happens. And so I had a hard time really connecting to Seth or caring about his current situation. I thought it was a little boring, but eventually the book picks up and it goes into a direction that I was not expecting at all. And I think it's one of those things where you just have to go into it pretty blind. Even the summary on the back of the book really doesn't reveal much. And I think that's what kind of makes it such a fun read, is because you don't really know where it's gonna go. And then it kind of turns into something completely different. What I like is it kind of proposes an open interpretation of what you think is going on. It was just such a well thought out and unique story. I've never read anything like it. So I did really enjoy those aspects of the book. That being said, though, I didn't feel super emotionally connected to the story or the characters. Thematically, it didn't really pack a punch for me that much. So I really enjoyed it from the perspective of I thought it was entertaining and interesting, but outside of that, I don't think it really did much for me. That being said, it is a young adult book, and I'm definitely not within that demographic, so that could also be why. So that all being said, I ended up rating the book 3.5 stars. But anyway, that's the end of the vlog. That was my July. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far, and I will see you next time.
And if you had some advice for your kids?
I would tell them to be really super tiny when they come out of my video. And then I would tell them, my advice to them would be to be really quiet and calm as children.
Right, period on that.